So let us take some C and C++ interview Viva basic question and answers. We have seen few questions earlier. Now let us add few more to them. When do you use const reference arguments in a function? We are talking about a function. When you use const reference arguments. So first is using const protect you against programming errors that may inadvertently alter the data. Second is when you use const, that is making it constant or unalterable, it allows function to process both const and non-const actual arguments. While a function without const in the prototype can only accept non-constant argument. Next is using a const reference allows the function to generate and use a temporary variable appropriately. And then these are the few usage of const when you pass it as a function parameter. So we saw these three. Next we come to another question. When are temporary variables created by C++ compiler? Temporary variable. Provided that function parameter is a const reference, compiler generates a temporary variable in these two ways. First is the actual argument is the correct type, but it doesn't have that logical value like double cube. This is a function from here. Double cube and constant double. You have a number, but number is returning number into number into number, and this is returning as to the function which is double. So the actual argument is the correct type, but the L value has some problem. How? When this function is called double temp equal to 0 and you are passing cube or you are passing 3.0 plus temp to this value. Okay. So in this case, compiler generates a temporary variable. The other is the actual argument is of wrong type, but of a type that can be converted to the correct type. So what happens here? This is a double. Now you are trying to pass the long 3L, that is the long value. You are trying to pass this long to the cube root, like here. So this is long to double conversion. In this case, temporary variables are created by the C++ compiler. What is virtual function? A function which is virtual means not actual. Is it the answer? Let us see. A virtual function, when derived class, if you have a base class and then you have a derived class. If derived class overrides the base class method by redefining the same function, then if client want to access redefine the method from the derived class through pointer from the base class object. Okay, if a client or a user wants to access redefine the method from derived class through a pointer from base class object, then you must define this function in the base class as the virtual function. Okay, let me tell you why this virtual is here. What problem does it create if it is not here? When you have a class which is the parent class and you have a class child which is inheriting the parent class. Okay, so this is the parent, this is the child. Now you have a function show. You also have a function show here. Both functions are here with the same name. Now you are creating a parent. This is a parent class. So you are creating an object of parent. Now you want to create, that is you want to create a child instance, new child, and you want to assign it to the parent object. But will it be possible? There'll be when you want to show after doing this. Of course, this is going to work. No problem with this because this inheriting will go on. But the problem here is when you will try to show through the object which you have just made, which is of parent type. So when you call this, it will call the parent show. Okay, it will not call the child show, because what you have done is you have made a parent object and you want to access the child. How can you access? It will not be possible. The compiler or the C++ will not allow you. If you want to really do this, what you are going to do is you make the function virtual here, and again the same other things remaining the same. Now you again make a parent object, assign it with the new child, and now you access show. Rather than going to the parent class a function show of the parent class, it will actually show you the show function of the child. So I hope you got the idea of the virtual function. Okay, what is pure virtual function or what is abstract class? Pure virtual function and abstract class. When you define only function prototype in the base class without implementation, and you do the complete implementation in the derived class, this base class is called the abstract class, and client won't be able to instantiate an object using the base class. Okay. There are two things worth mentioning. First is you have a class. In this, you only have functions. You only have function prototypes, no function declaration. So you only have function prototype. There is no implementation or the function body. In the second thing is this base class is called the, when you derive, the base class is called the abstract class, because you will not be able to create object of this class. This class is only meant to be derived. This class is not meant to create objects. This is the class we call it as abstract. So you can make pure virtual function, this one, or abstract class. They are so much related. So you can make pure virtual function or abstract class like this. You can have a class which is called as boo, and we have a function void foo, and this has to be equal to 0. And if you try your luck by making an object of this class, you will not be successful because it will be a compilation error. What is memory alignment? The term alignment primarily means the tendency of an address pointer value to be a multiple of some power of 2. So a pointer with 2-byte alignment has a 0 in the least significant bit, and a pointer with 4-byte alignment has a 0 in both the 2 least significant bits, and so on. So this memory alignment means a longer sequence of 0 bits in the lowest bits of a pointer. What is the use of using declaration? Why you use using? The using declaration make it possible to use a name from a namespace using the scope operator. So what you do using, say, namespace CV, if you have worked with OpenCV, so using namespace CV or any other thing, you are actually telling the compiler that we are using this package, CV package. So all those contents which CV does have don't give us any error because we'll be using this. This is using declaration. What problem does the namespace feature solve? Let me tell you that if you have similar name, you can't have an identical name in a single entity or a single class or like this. But you can have namespaces. What you can do is you can have one namespace, another namespace, say x is the name of a function, say. So you can have a function of x name here. And this can be accessed through this namespace or binding through this namespace and binding through this namespace. So this problem is like this. But let us see, the multiple providers of library might use common global identifier, causing a name collision like this, when an application tries to link with 2 or more such libraries. So the namespace feature surrounds a library's external declarations with a unique namespace that eliminates the potential of those collisions, like namespace, identifier, and namespace body. So the namespace declaration identifies and assigns a name to a declarative region. It is just like a baggage, you can understand, or a bucket. The identifier in a namespace declaration must be unique in the declaration region in which it is used, and the identifier is the name of the namespace and it is used to reference its members. What is iterate or iterator class? A class that is used to traverse through the objects. You want to traverse through the objects, you use iterator class. So a class that is used to traverse through objects maintained by a container class. So there are 5 categories of iterators: input iterator, output iterator, forward iterator, bidirectional iterator, random access. So an iterator is an entity that gives access to the contents of a container object without violating the encapsulation constraints. So access to the contents is granted on a one at a time basis in order. So the order can be storage order, like as in list and queues, or some arbitrary order like in array indices, okay, random. and you can access them randomly or according to some ordering relation, as in ordered binary tree. The iterator is a construct which provides an interface that, when called, yields either the next element in the container or some value which is denoting the fact that there are no more elements to examine. So iterators hide the details of access to and update of the elements of a container class, something like a pointer. What is dangling pointer? A dangling pointer arises when you use the address of an object after its lifetime is over. You want to use an address of an object when its lifetime is over. So this may occur in situation like returning addresses of the automatic variables from a function, or using the address of a memory block when it is freed after it is freed. Using the address after it is freed. So once you free the memory block, then even after that you want to use it, then it will be a dangling pointer. What do you mean by stack unwinding? It is the process during exception handling when the destructor is called for all local objects in the stack between the place where the execution was thrown and when it is called. So it is a process during exception handling. Name the operators that cannot be overloaded. Name the operators that cannot be overloaded. So this is size of, you cannot overload size of, dot star, dot arrow, scope resolution, ternary, all these are dot. Cannot be overloaded. What is a container class and what are the types of container classes? A container class is a class that is used to hold objects in memory or external storage. So a container class acts as a generic holder. So a container class has a predefined behavior and a well-known interface. This container class is a supporting class whose purpose is to hide the topology used for maintaining a list of objects in the memory. So when a container class contains a group of mixed objects, the container will be known as the heterogeneous container. While on the other hand, when the container is holding a group of objects that are all the same, the container is known as homogeneous container. What is inline function? What is inline function? Can you tell me the inline function? And what is overloading also? See, the inline function, or you use this inline keyword to tell the compiler to substitute that particular code within the function definition for every instance of that function call. Those lines which are in inline function, they will be directly replaced there. However, substitution occurs only at the compiler's discretion. For example, the compiler does not inline a function if the address is taken or if it's too large to inline. This is at compiler's discretion. There is often question asked about the inline function macro definition. You should be very aware of this inline function. What is overloading? With this C++ language, you can overload functions and operators. No, these are the consequences of or the implementation of polymorphism. So overloading is the practice of supplying more than one definition for a given function name in the same scope. So any two functions in a set of overloaded functions must have different argument list. An overloading function with argument list of the same types based on the return type alone is an error. Okay. What is overriding? Overriding is writing own function. So overriding a method, a subclass of the class that originally declared that method must declare a method with the same return type or a subclass of that return type and same parameter list. So the definition of the method overriding is it must have same method name, it must have same data type, it must have same argument list. So overriding a method means that replacing a method functionality in the child class. So you have a base class, you have a child class, same function here, same function here. You are giving your own definition here. But these three should follow. So to imply overriding functionality, we need parent and child class. So in the child class, you define the same method signature as one defined in the parent class. What is this pointer? This pointer points to the latest object. So this pointer is a pointer accessible only within the member functions of a class, functions and union type. So it points to the object for which the member function is called. It points to the object for which the member function is called. So static member functions do not have this pointer. See, static member functions, they do not have this pointer. So when a non-static member function is called for an object, the address of the object is passed as a hidden argument to the function. For example, the following function call, if it is like this, my date dot set month 3, So this may be interpreted like this: set month n% of my date. So you're passing the address of my date. This is what? This is the object only. Okay. So the object's address is available from within the member function as this pointer. So it is legal, though unnecessary, to use this pointer when referring to the members of the class. Next is what happens when you make call delete this. Delete this. The code has two built-in pitfalls. First of all, why would you use this? First, if it executes in a member function for an external, static or automatic object, the program will probably crash as soon as delete statement executes. First of all, so there is no portable way for an object to tell that it was instantiated on the heap. So the class cannot assert that an object is properly instantiated. Secondly, when an object commits suicide this way, the using program might not know about its demise. As far as the instantiating program is concerned, the object remains in scope and continues to exist even though the object did itself in. So subsequent dereferencing of the pointer can and usually does lead to a disaster. You should never do this, since compiler does not know whether the object was allocated on the stack or on the heap. Delete this could cause a disaster. Now the next one is how virtual functions are implemented in C++. Virtual functions are implemented using a table of function pointers. We know it as a V table. They are implemented using a table of function pointers which are given in V table. So there is one entry in the table for virtual function in the class, and the table is created by the constructor of the class. Who creates it? Constructor of the class. So when a derived class is constructed, its base class is constructed first, which creates the V table. So if the derived class overrides any of the base class virtual function, those entries in the V table are now overwritten by the derived class constructor. This is why you should never call virtual functions from a constructor, because the V table entries of the object may not have been set up by the derived class constructor yet. So you might end up calling base class implementation of those virtual functions. What is name mangling in C++? Name mangling. The process of encoding the parameter types with the function or method name into a unique name is called as mangling. And the process which is inverse is known as demangling. For example, if you have a function called bar in foo in long, this is mangled as bar underscore c3 fooi. So the process of encoding the parameter types with the function or method name into a unique name is called as mangling. So you actually made it like this. For a constructor, the method name is left out. The method name will not be there. The method name is bar, so it will not be there. That is, if you have foo double colon, that is scope resolution operator foo interlong, so it will only be this one, and c3, the c3, and foo for this, and in, I for integer, and for long. This is mangling. What is the difference between a pointer and a reference? Pointer and reference. A reference must always refer to some object. A reference given by this must always refer to some object, and therefore must always be initialized. A reference must be initialized. Pointers do not have such restrictions. A pointer can be reassigned to pointer or to different objects, while a reference always refers to an object with which it was initialized. This is the difference between pointer and reference. How are prefix and postfix version of operator plus plus differentiated? The postfix version of this has a dummy parameter of type int. The prefix version does not have a dummy parameter. What is the difference between const char, this my pointer, and char star const my pointer? So you have a constant here you have a constant inside. So this is a character pointer which is constant. A character pointer which will have a constant value. While in this case you have a character pointer. Again, it is a character pointer only. But now the pointer, my pointer, is it the value will be, or is it my pointer will be constant, or constant will be, this character will be the value, or the pointer constant. So let us see. Const char my pointer is a non-constant pointer to a constant data. While this one, this char const my pointer, is a constant pointer. It is a constant pointer to a non-constant data. The data is non-constant. See, character star first my pointer, that means you have a constant pointer which is pointing to a non-constant data. Where here you have a constant pointer which is constant, non-constant pointer, non-constant pointer, non-constant, but it is pointing to a character which is a constant. So it is pointing to a constant data. How can I handle a constructor that fails? Just throw an exception. Constructor don't have a return type, so it's not possible to use return codes. The best way to signal constructor failure is therefore to throw an exception. How can I handle destructor that fails? What you can do is you can write a message to a log file, but do not throw an exception. The C++ rule is that you must never throw an exception for a destructor that is being called during the stack unwinding process of another exception. For example, if someone says throw FOO, the stack will be unwound, so all the stack frames between the throw FOO and this catch will get popped, right? This is called stack unwinding. During stack unwinding, all the local objects in all those stack frames are destructed. So if one of those destructor throws an exception, say it throws a bar object, the C++ runtime system is in a no-win situation. Should it ignore this bar and end up with, say, a catch where it was originally headed? And should it ignore the FOO and look for brace, catch, bari, that's a handler? So there is no good answer. Either choices lose information. So the C++ language guarantees that it will call terminate at this point, and terminate kills the process. Okay. Now the next is what is virtual destructor? Using virtual destructor, you can destroy objects without knowing their type. Using virtual destructors, you can destroy objects without knowing their type. So the correct destructor for the name is invoked using a virtual function mechanism. And we have to note that the destructors can also be declared as pure virtual functions for abstract classes. So if someone will derive from your class, and if someone will say new derived, where derived is derived from your class, and if someone will say delete p, then the actual object type is derived, but the pointer p's type is your class. Okay. Can you think of a situation where your program would crash without reaching the breakpoint which you set at the beginning of main? C++ allow for dynamic initialization of global variables before main is invoked. It is possible that initialization of global will invoke some function. So if this function crashes, the crash will occur even before you have entered the main. This is the situation. Name two cases where you must use initialization list as opposed to the assignment in constructor. Both non-static constant data members and reference data members cannot be assigned values. So instead you should use the initialization list to initialize them. Again, non-static constant data members and referenced data members cannot be assigned values. Can you overload a function based only on whether a parameter is a value or a reference? Can you overload a function? Answer is no. Passing by value or by reference looks identical to the caller. So you can you overload a function based only on whether a parameter is value or a reference? Is not. And the answer is no. What are the differences between C++ struct and C++ class? The various differences. First is the default member and the base class access specifiers are different in both of them. And the C++ struct has all the features of the class. The only difference is that struct defaults to public member access and public base class inheritance, and the class default to the private access specifier and private base class inheritance. This is C++ structure. We are not talking about a structure which is in C. This is C++ structure. What does extern C, int, func, this function name, int star, this comma FO accomplish? What is it going to do? Extern C. It will turn off the name mangling for func so that one can link to code compiled by a C compiler. Okay. How do you access the static member of a class? Will you use the class name? The answer is, let us see the answer. It will be through scope resolution vector operator. Sorry, you use this directly. You can call this. You don't have to call these members through your object. You can easily do it by directly calling from the class name. What is multiple inheritance? That is virtual inheritance. What are its advantages and disadvantages? Multiple inheritance is a process whereby a child can be derived from more than one parent class. So this is a child and it can be derived from more than one parent class. So the advantage of multiple inheritance is that it allows a class to inherit the functionality of more than one base class, thus allowing for modeling of complex relationships. But there is a disadvantage. That is why this you will not find in Java. In Java there is no multiple inheritance. So the disadvantage of multiple inheritance is that it can lead to a lot of confusion and ambiguity where two base class implement the method with the same name. What are the access privileges in C++? What is the default access level? The access privileges in C++ or access specifiers are private, public, and protected. These are three access privileges or access specifier. The default access level assigned to member of a class is actually private in C++. Private members of a class are accessible only within the class and by the friends of the class. Protected members are accessible by the class itself and its subclasses, while the public members of the class can be accessed by anyone. What is nested class? Why can it be useful? Nested class is a class enclosed within a scope of another class. For example, you have a nested class like this. You have a class outer class. Inside this, you find the nested class, which is the inside class. The nested class are useful for organizing code and controlling access and dependency. And nested classes obey access rules just like other parts of a class. Say, we have seen in this example. So if nested class is public, then any code can name it as outer class :nested class. So often nested class contains private implementation details and therefore it is made private. As in this one example, if nested class is private, then only outer class members and friends can access this nested class. So when you initiate an outer class, it won't instantiate inside class. You have to do it by yourself. Means it is not done automatically. What is local class? Why it is useful? Local class is a class defined within the scope of a function. See, it is a function and you have a class inside it. So this is a local class which is defined within the scope of the function, which is f. Any function, so whether a member function or a free function, like this. So like nested classes, local classes can be useful tool for managing code dependencies. So these were a few more questions on C and C++. And thank you so much for your time. Take care.